Welcome everyone to today's Women in E-commerce session, using Zoom when you work from home. Now I know, given the climate we have today, Zoom is just an amazing tool, not only for business, but for personal use. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Sheila, our guest expert, is going to be talking about a lot of wonderful things. And hopefully when you leave this session, you're going to feel more empowered and know exactly what to do when you host your first or your next meeting. Let me tell you a little bit about Sheila. Well, before I do that, my name is Heidi Richards-Mooney. For those of you who don't know me, I am the founder of Women in E-commerce and our host today. And Sheila, our guest speaker, is our co-host. So let me tell you about Sheila. Of course, find your introduction here. Sheila Finkelstein, best-selling author, coach, and recipient of WECAI's Lifetime Achievement Golden Mouse Award in 2013, is a multi-talented, I say multifaceted, senior who passions led her to work in several different arenas, one at a time. Currently, her focus is on working with seniors, helping them to understand the basics of how to connect with their beloved family members and friends and the world using smartphones and tablets or computers. Using Zoom has been her #1 go-to app since she first discovered it 6.5 years ago. Although personal and family use was her initial priority, she shortly expanded it into using it in a variety of ways for business. One-on-one coaching, training, using video, as well as Zoom screen share to create training videos. The ability to mirror her iPhone and iPad on Zoom has been especially helpful in working with clients, showing them how to use their devices and solve other problems. You can see some of the tutorials and ways Sheila has used Zoom on her Technology for Seniors YouTube channel. And the other thing I want to mention that's not in her bio is that I think it was 2013, I was very impressed. She was creating a series of Zoom videos just for her audience. And thank goodness I was one of those. And Zoom found out about it, and they were using her videos that she created on her own as training until they got their own tutorials up. So I want to say Sheila not only is amazing with technology, she is on the forefront of many things. So Sheila, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for being not only a lifetime member but a dear friend of mine.
Well, thank you. We go way back, and I don't know that they use my videos.
But are you a senior who's been looking for information?
Oh, sorry about that.
And don't know where to turn? You call one of your kids or
mute me, Heidi. Mute me, Heidi, for a minute.
You get frustrated.
I gotta mute her. Okay, so they recognized the videos. That much I do know, because I saw the post. So are you ready, Sheila?
What happened was I was looking for a funny video, quick clip to show the person that wanted to go. Interestingly, well, Heidi and I obviously go back a long time, long before 2013, and WECAI made a big difference in my life. And it was actually Heidi who got me moving into immediately playing with videos, because I visited her shop and she was doing some kind of video. And what drives me is play and discovery. And so I went home and started playing and creating videos, and I did pictures of her roses and created into a roses for Heidi.
And it was quite beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And I've already made Sheila the co-host. And I think the first thing I'd like to do, although most of you have answered this question, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll so you can see it firsthand. And if you would just take a moment to answer the question on the poll. The question is, how are you using or plan to use Zoom? So once you've answered the question, then it'll go, okay, good. Sheila, are you able to see that as well?
Yes, I'm seeing what's happening. So I'm seeing the results.
Okay, so you can report. I think that's what we decided on.
Oh, interesting.
It is.
Okay, so I guess everybody that wanted to respond responded. So 80% are both, 13% are personal, and 7% business.
Excellent.
So thank you all for responding.
So I'll share that the results so everybody can see that now. So you
Oh,
can,
okay, you can share it. Okay,
you
great.
can. So what is very cool about this is when you want to do a poll during a session and get a quick response, as opposed to chatting, what Sheila taught me. She says, if you have everybody put in the chat, you got to scroll through all that stuff and see the answers. And this way you get to see it immediately. So it's a great tool, and you can share the results with the whole group if you want. So when you see the sharing results, I have a little icon that says can share. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm actually going to exit out of there for now. I do have a second question. So I want us to do another poll really quick. And Sheila, I know you don't know this, but I decided to ask a second question, if it'll allow me to do that. And the question is, how have you attended or hosted a Zoom event in the past? And I think I'm going to know the answer to that, but we're going to go ahead and ask the question anyway.
Heidi, just to keep you honest, why don't you put in chat to me what you think the answer is, and we'll see if you were right.
I will do it. Okay. So the one thing about this is you can set them up ahead of time. I was able to set up the first poll, but I couldn't figure out how to set up the second poll, so it'd be ready to launch right away. So Sheila, that may be a question for you if you know the answer, or maybe not. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll, and we'll see what happens here. So let's see if the poll is in there. Okay. Okay. No. All right. For some reason, it wouldn't bring in the second poll. So maybe it's because I didn't end that. So we won't do that right now. Sheila, we'll go to that question later so that we can get on, because I think people are anxious to learn. So what do you want? You were going to do the settings? Oh no, you're going to do the bottom first. Go ahead. I'm turning it over to you.
Okay, you know what? I lost that original agenda. I don't even know you sent me the original agenda. I'm working off the Have a Host. Okay, well, anyway.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, so first of all, I gather here most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with using Zoom. So you're probably not here with some anxiety, as some people might, but I need to do a deep breath. So I suggest if ever anyone gets anxious about anything, pause and take a deep breath. And I just recommend we all start with a deep breath. I need it. So I'm going to breathe in, counting to 8, and then breathe out. And exhale. Okay, thank you for that. So I'm assuming you all know the bottom of the toolbar. One of the things I'm going to talk about in security is how to, some of the security things. And once you've downloaded and you're a host, the latest version of Zoom, when you're hosting a meeting, you'll have a security icon on it anyway. But I think you all know from the left is mute. You put a line through it and knows you're muted, and you have a line through it. Stop video, you have a line through it. It's recommended, and I'll probably say that again, when you start a meeting, you set up without your video, just so in case you're doing last minute things, people don't see you running around or you don't get embarrassed, okay? The participants, and you can do too. By the way, if any of you are on a mobile device, on the phone, The controls are at the bottom of the screen. On an iPad anyway, and imagine any other tablet, the controls are at the top of the screen. If you're not seeing the control bar on the bottom, put your mouse on the screen and that will bring it up if you're on a computer. So you've got the mute, stop video, the participants, you can click on that and it will bring up a list of participants on the side. If so, you can see everybody's there, and I'm suggesting not chat, but if you search the person's name, you can chat privately. And as the host, when that comes up, the list of participants, you can actually, well, it's not happening here, it's closing the chat. When I see I had it open in chat. We'll hover over, this is mainly for people who host meetings. You're not going to see it there, but when you hover over a name, it will give you the option to mute, and then a button that has more on it. And then there'll be some other options there. So that's just quick. Chat, we know. Share screen will be going over. Heidi did polling. That again is on the host. Then there's a recording, pause, and stop. I recommend when we go through the settings that you turn off. The only person that can record is the host or the co-host. That way you're secure. There is a time, which I'll go when I go through the things, that I do recommend that you can allow record. You can always change it in a meeting. And now there's the latest thing. If anybody takes a second to do it, there's a reactions button. So emojis are the thing today. You tap chat reactions and you like what somebody says, you can do a clapping or a thumbs up. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that if you want to try. Thank you. I see the one, Heidi.
Probably only need 10 seconds.
Okay. By the way, that's one more thing here and we'll talk about. There are two options at the very top right of your screen. For those that don't know, there's like a little grid with 9 dots. That will give you gallery view. And Heidi's on speaker view and probably will stay on speaker view, and that's what will be recorded in the recording that you'll get later. But if you want to see everybody at once, you can also click on gallery view on your computer or device, and then the person who is speaking, there will be an outline around that person. Okay, any questions there? Somewhere at the bottom. Alrighty, so.
If you type it in, I'll let you know, Sheila, if anybody types in this question.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so where are we going next? Did you just send me an agenda?
I did. And we're going to go, I believe we're going to the settings now on zoom.us.
Okay, so here we'll go anyway. I'm also following, so I did, Heidi, I wanted to make sure that we covered everything that Heidi promised on the webpage. So in the agenda, so I'm working from that, and Heidi will catch me if I miss anything, okay? So how to host a meeting. You can host a meeting in 2 ways. You can host it from your app itself to set up a meeting. I'm assuming, let me back up a minute. I'm assuming everybody here knows how to, you all have a Zoom account, so you can host a meeting, whether it's paid, free, or a webinar account, business account. Okay, so again, if you open up the Zoom app on your device or computer, it will give you an option, and I will be doing a thing with screenshots with all of this. And if you opt in for that, I will be sending you the, everything we're talking about with the images to make it easier to follow. So on your dashboard, when it opens up the home page, sometimes it doesn't open up, gives start meeting, join meeting, and the different controls there. So you can schedule is starting a new meeting. You can also go online to do, and you have settings on there on your computer or your tablet phone. I'm going to screen share now and go online and show you. Yep, by the way, I prepared my screen so everything's clear. All my open windows are there. Actually, do you see that? What do you see right now?
I just see a black arrow on a blue screen, but a moment ago it said press something to escape.
Okay, okay. That actually is what I was describing in my Zoom background. So, okay. Let me go get the, stop share for a minute. I thought that that was, or I could have paused share. I thought what I wanted was right here. And I want to mask that. Okay, so let's try this again. I did a share screen, and there are a couple of ways when you're going on share screen. It's share desktop. You probably want to avoid that, or if you do, because anytime you move around, they're going to see something. So if you start out with a clean, have it clean, or I was just reading, if you pause share, then you can jump around and get to be exactly where you want. And I am not, I don't know what Duncan said with that. Okay, I see where it is. Okay.
There we go. Yay.
I am logged into my account online. There are a couple more things up here. There's profile and something else. Because we're recording, I've masked the very top that has my name. I don't want to see that. I don't want that to be shown in recording. And by the way, I think I already told you we're recording, and where's the account management? Room management. Well, you're seeing what I don't want you to see. Dashboard. Okay, dashboard. Okay, on the dashboard, I didn't want you to see that either. I did this all the time. Okay, these are all my meetings. I didn't want you to see all my meetings, but while we're looking here, you can see that, never mind. We practiced this yesterday, I promise you. We did.
Well, just so they know, they can go into their dashboard and they can look and see past meetings and get a lot of good analytic information, which we're not going to cover because in an hour, we really want to show you how to use the tool, and some of the marketing tips and stuff would have to be in a more advanced or just a different class. So I
Not responding. Go back to my profile. Must be force loaded. Okay, I want to give you another tip right here. I ordinarily, when I'm doing a webinar or a meeting, I reload my screen. I mean, I boot my computer, so I'm starting clean, so I won't have that trouble. And so it's loading that. On this thing, there is a settings. It was yesterday. Dashboard, that's what I didn't want here.
What are you looking for, Sheila?
I'm looking for the settings now that were here yesterday.
You're on the settings, I think. Aren't you right here? Huh.
I'm seeing a general thing, but there were advanced.
I think it's under account management. There we go.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. So somebody wanted to know about, I'm not going to show my account profile. I don't know what is there. Somebody asked about how can she, Barbara, I guess, how can she get her picture? When you go into account profile, on your profile, you'll see an image or a face or a place where you can upload your image. I suggest you upload some kind of profile so that you're more relatable rather than, let's say, a rabbit or something like that. Okay.
And just one other quick tip, Sheila. When you do that and you join a meeting, if you don't want to join it with the video, then that profile picture will show in the room, which is another nice thing, because then you have a nice picture as opposed to, you know, just some awful background or whatever it is that they might want it, or one of those non-images, which I don't know what they call those things. Yeah.
And that's what you saw online when you came in. I was stop video, but I had done a screenshot of me in my room from a video, and I used that so I look like I'm sort of with you, even though I'm not. Okay, then account settings. So now we go down, and I discovered I never was going much into these settings. I've always done it online. Okay, that's just, I think we might have to ask you to share. Okay. I didn't expect this to happen. I'm sorry, people. Okay, so just so you know, okay, here we are. This question came up before, and so as I'm going through these, I'm also going through some of the security. And Zoom has default by a lot, so I would say, generally speaking, go down the whole thing and accept the default unless you know what it is you're looking for and why. And then always test if you change something. Like Heidi went to a different device. If you don't have a friend you can have, I mean, I have my iPad and my iPhone as a participant sometimes as I'm hosting a meeting. So I'm saying it's recommended. I recommend it, host video off. And by the way, it's off when it's gray. If you turn it on, it's blue. And it will tell you, pop up that you're changing it. Okay. The same thing with the participants video. Allow the participants privacy, and they choose whether they're shown or not. Since this will be recorded, everybody will be seen. Although we see your names on the image now, the names will not be picked up on the Zoom recording. They will if you're doing Facebook Live. Okay. So it's just running down. Sometimes I used to, before all the security, have join before host. I still sometimes do it in my private meetings. And anyway, I'm just showing this. You can all go down and check your thing. And here's where they've now added password, require password. An instant meeting is when, if you have a pro or business account, you can create your own pro identity, a paid account, and then you can use that, etc. It's pretty much self-explanatory. If you ever have any questions, you can email me. And I just want to basically show you that. Here, you can even prevent participants from saving, well, definitely I say now, as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to start, as a security measure, they're saying prevent participants from saving chat. The chat will come up in the host so that they can have it. And I'll leave it that way for now, but I'll going through. You can have the private chat. So again, you can have fun with this. I meant to say at the very beginning, I'm about having fun. Everything I know about Zoom, I did by playing with it, discovering it, and relaxing. There are one or two people on here, at least, who I've worked with that were, oh no, oh no, oh no, it's terrible, I can't do it. And we go on like this for months. And suddenly they sat down to do it. They said, oh, it was so easy. I don't like to make people wrong, so I just bit my tongue when saying, you know what. Okay, here now it's good where allowing, I don't know why that's so, allowing hosts to add co-hosts. Co-hosts have the same meeting controls as the host, except that, oh, I don't know why these aren't on. Okay, anyway, and sometimes if you don't understand what it means, ignore it. Don't do anything with it. I messed up something the other day by not doing it. There's also, this is a, one of the other safety things that have come up is to not allow participants to screen share. Okay, especially if you're going to a public meeting where you don't know anybody or anything like that. Just host only, and the co-host could be able to screen share.
Now, Sheila, if you're doing one-on-one training, I always leave it all participants because I may have to go into somebody's account and look at what they're doing. Can I go back just a second about the co-host? Because yesterday I discovered this, so thank you, Sheila. I didn't have that turned on. So if you are in your Zoom room and it'll show you that you can make someone a host, if you make them a host, you now lose control as the host. So you need to go in and make sure you do this and enable the co-host. So I had not done that, and I had to leave the room and come back in order for it to work. So you have to do these settings before you actually open the room. Otherwise they don't take effect, except for the ones that you can change within the room, which I think you're going to cover a little bit, right, Sheila?
Yeah, good point. Okay, thanks, Heidi. Now, also keep in mind, this host co-host does not allow, as I said, the person can't end the meeting. If you set up co-host, you cannot go into somebody else's account and host a meeting. It's only within the meeting. You do not have actual host privileges. And the host can make you host for that meeting and give you the host would have to, the account owner would have to be there to do that in the first place. Okay, well, we showed. So anyway, annotation. I really need to change this. Annotation, again, is a security thing. I'm going to turn this, well, this isn't my meeting anyway. But sometimes people might start playing around with the things up top. And when you see on the top, it says annotate, please don't do this now. And people start playing around. So I suggest disabling that. Somebody,
Mine's disabled on mine. This is your account, so this isn't going to change anything.
no, I know. I'm gonna disable it too. I thought I had it. I thought I had a lot of these things disabled. Heidi will have to talk about whiteboard. Do you know anything about whiteboard?
Well, we can show them what it looks like. It's basically a whiteboard they can write on, and if you have it enabled, then you can actually find it when you're in a meeting. So it's good for people who want to show a really quick example and maybe didn't have time to create an image or something. I've really not used it. I just found out how to use it yesterday. Thank goodness for Sheila. But yeah, it's good for those times when you may have to do a quick example of something.
Okay, so bottom line, we didn't extend this much time on the thing. I can even stop people from creating new virtual backgrounds.
But go back a minute, because you just enabled something called Breakout Rooms, and they're going to need to know what that is when we get there. So
Okay.
The Breakout Room, Sheila, you want me to talk about it?
Okay, no,
Okay.
so we're allowing breakout rooms, and put that on the host dashboard too, or control panel, and you're going to see that. So there are a couple of ways, and we're going to send you in resources some links to videos and other things, and there's a very great video on if you're really into it in managing breakout rooms, and that will have that link. Anyway, right now we have it set up that it's random. Zoom does it for you. You don't have to worry about it. You can decide size and time, etc. Heidi will go through that.
Yeah.
Or if for some reason it was a special group and you wanted to have specific people with specific others, then you can do that also. Okay.
I like the randomness of it, but
Yeah.
again, it depends on if you were in a mastermind group, say for instance, and you had people were in specific groups with specific people, but you had a bigger meeting, then you would want to be able to put people together in the right rooms. Otherwise, it is done randomly. And this is a very cool feature that I just learned about a month ago at another meeting. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very cool. Go ahead, Sheila, I'm sorry.
Okay, you can also, I've never done, but if you happen to have people that might have hearing disabilities or something, depending on what you're doing, you can add closed captioning and allow the participant to save the captioning. Okay, virtual background we'll have fun with later, although I see a couple of you have already started. So anyway, that's pretty much it. And what I discovered recently, and I hadn't realized, I never ever went up here to set meeting controls, and there are a lot more. So I suggest that you check it out and see what's there. And they're a full set when you go into your dashboard and set up things. And I will do that in the screenshot also on how to do it. Yes, Heidi?
Yeah, so let's go down a little bit because I want to talk, I want you to mention, or I can mention about we're going to do the virtual background in the big breakout room, but one more thing was down there that I wanted to mention. Keep going. It's further down. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. By the way, default email, I don't know that we're covering invitations, although it was there. Zoom gives you a default email, but when it comes up that you can send, you can take that, it pops up in your own email box. You can cut and paste and do anything you want with it, customize it.
That's what I do, yeah. Okay, the waiting room, someone mentioned it at the beginning. So if you want to go into the meeting early and do things before you allow everybody to go in, then you can put them into what's called a waiting room instead of everybody going into the room at once. And you all experienced that if you got here early, that you were waiting till I admitted you. And then someone in the room showed me how to disable that, because when it started, I didn't want to have to go back and accept every single person who was in the room. So waiting room is a great feature, especially if you know you're going to have a large crowd. And you can, as I said, customize the title, logo, and description. I didn't do all that. I just called it waiting room, but you can call it whatever you want. And then one more thing down was the live. We aren't going to do a Facebook Live. We're not doing this as a Facebook
But
Live.
wait a minute, while we're here, there's one more thing I want to say. And
Okay.
by the way, when Heidi was talking about the waiting room, unfortunately, I was a little bit late. I hate to have disabled it that quickly, that's why, and particularly if it's going to be large, you have a few co-hosts so that your co-host can be managing the waiting room. Remember, they all have that control, so you don't have to be concerned about that.
Right.
Okay, here's where
The live stream. That's what I just quickly wanted to talk about. So I have it turned on in my room, so when we go back to the main room, we can show them what they have to do or what they can do. Go ahead, Sheila.
Okay, well, now I changed all this yesterday. I don't know why it changed, which all goes to show if you really have an important meeting going, go back and check your controls online. I might have changed something in the email itself.
So basically, you can do it directly from this platform now. You don't have to have a third-party tool that you used to have to go through to share Zoom on Facebook Live. When I first started doing this, I was trying to figure it out, and one of my friends said, I don't know how to do it, and I didn't know how to do it. So now you just go in here and you change the settings, and you can share this directly to YouTube live stream, to Facebook, and I think whatever that other one was. I didn't see it. But that's a really cool thing because a lot of people really like to do this, but they want to have the added audience of Facebook. And I think from now on, we'll be doing that. I just didn't want to do it for this one because it's a longer meeting. So thank you, Sheila.
Okay, and I want to say one thing, though, about doing live on Facebook. It depends on what you're doing. I was at a recording. I recorded a Friday night service for the synagogue. And we didn't go Facebook Live. The video can go up after. I was at a Seder that my great-granddaughter, a rabbi, did, and she did it live on Facebook. And when I went up to Facebook to see it, everybody's images were there and their names. To me, that might be kind of a violation of privacy. I mean, there's a mixed thing in her community and what they do that or not. So just keep that in mind. Any recordings from Zoom do not have the do not have that. Okay, while we're back into, so here's where you can schedule a meeting. I don't have to show it to you. You can test it all out. I wanted to show you, if we go back up to the dashboard, more setting. Okay, somewhere in here, when you go up and just explore for itself, you'll see on the left, you'll see meetings. And those of you who we can discuss it now or not since I'm talking about it. If you record to the cloud, then that's where it's going to show your cloud meetings. Now, a pro account can only have 2 gigabytes of space. So ultimately, it can get crowded and you want to go up there and delete it. So under that meetings, if they're cloud meetings, it will show you the cloud meetings. If you're using, you can, I think I can stop share now. Right? You know, there's nothing more here that you remember, right, Heidi?
I don't think so. If anybody has any questions, now would be a good time for them to, you know, maybe ask them in the chat so we can go over it.
Yeah.
No, and Lori Bergman had a great question about how, if the only way for your photo to show up is if you have an account. No, that's not true. Over in the left-hand side at the bottom, if you scroll over the Zoom room, you should be able to, a box should pop up that says mute, stop video, participants, chat, etc. If you click on that little up arrow that says stop video, you probably have it a line through it. And that's why your picture is not showing up, or your image isn't showing up if you're on if you have your webcam is on. So you have to make sure that your webcam is turned on as well. I know that someone else asked me that question as well. Yes, so Duncan mentioned about host and co-host. Yes, only the host and co-host can launch polls, correct, Sheila?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me see if I'm missing any questions. I don't want to miss any. When in breakout rooms, people were not put into chat rooms. How to avoid this mistake? Okay, so Karen asked, I was in a meeting and when we went to breakout, some people were not put into chat rooms. How to avoid that mistake? Okay,
Well, do you answer that, or I have an answer for that?
go ahead.
I was at a meeting which had, actually, there were more than 100 attendees, I think, and I think they had applied to have more. Zoom only allows 50 breakout rooms. So somehow, if you have a very large, if there's a large thing, and maybe, well, I don't know what it is, 5 per room or something, and if there's more of that, then that might be why they didn't get into rooms.
Okay.
What were you going to respond?
No, I was going to say the same thing. You're allowed 50 breakout rooms, but I'm not sure what the limits are for the number of people in each room. So maybe the host had set the number of people low, and so some people weren't able to get into it. I'm not sure what the answer is because I've not had that experience, but I'm happy to find out for you. It's on the recording, so we'll answer that question later. And then, okay, so Cheryl, we are going to talk about virtual backgrounds now, right, Sheila? But we're going to put you all into a breakout room. So Sheila, you want to tell them how to do the virtual background, and then I will send everybody information.
Don't do anything yet, because I know once you see this, if you're not familiar with it, then you're going to want to play. So I'll tell you right before Heidi's schedule. There is, when you do what I tell you to do, you'll get a picture of pictures that Facebook provides, and there'll be a little plus sign, and you'll have a, it means you can add images from your own photos. Okay, now if you get a funny looking thing, and I'm going to show you a quick video because somebody had asked about how you share video just for fun, it will break up. It means your computer does not have enough capacity, the processor doesn't have enough capacity, etc. So that happens. Don't worry about it. Just have fun with it and play with it, and know you wouldn't use it for a business meeting. Okay, so just when Heidi goes to the breakout rooms, what happens is, I won't even show it, you'll see, but I know you're going to try it anyway. Next to the stop video, there's that little up arrow. When you click on that, one of the options is virtual background. Okay, Heidi, breakout rooms. And
Yeah,
then you
so I'm going to put everybody into breakout rooms, and you'll be able to play around with it and talk about it, and we'll do 3 minutes, and if we find we need more time, we can add more time, but I'm going to give you 3 minutes in the breakout room, and at that point you can play around with the virtual
And are
background.
you going to ask a question to discuss your experience and how you've been using Zoom, etc., while you're doing it if there's time?
Yes, yes. Breakout rooms. So give me a second because I have to figure it out. Okay. So if I put 3 people in a room, here we go. That'll be 11. That's too many. So I'm going to put, all right. So what it does is it does actually create for you how many rooms you should have based upon the number of participants and how many people you want. So I don't want 12 people in a room because they won't all get to talk. So I would like 3 to 4 participants per room. So that means they're going to create 9 breakout rooms for us. So here we go.
Okay, and I want to suggest one thing, that this and the other breakout room, if you want to, one person wants to volunteer to speak with the experience, we may ask a couple people what the experience was in the breakout room.
And in the controls, when you are a moderator, you'll see a thing on the bottom once it opens up, and it shows options. The options allow you to move all participants into breakout rooms automatically, to return to the main session at any time if they want, so that if you get tired or you're finished and you come back, that's fine. And it'll tell you, and it'll let you set the room for as long as you want it to be set for. So I'm going to set it for 3 minutes, and I'm going to set the countdown timer at 15 seconds. So you'll get a 15-second notification that the room is about ready to close, because they close automatically after the timer goes off. So that's that. And I'm going to open the rooms. Enjoy. You do have to accept the invitation when you're sent over there, by the way. So you'll see, I'm seeing everybody in what breakout room. So Sheila, do you see breakout room 1, 2, 3, etc.? Hey, here we are.
Oh, Heidi, hi.
Hi. You know the other cool thing when you're a host, you can choose which breakout room you want to join. So I saw
We're honored.
Eddie and Eric. And so I said, oh, this is cool. So now while we're in here, since I know what I'm doing, sort of.
Thank God you know.
Later. All right. So down at the bottom, you see the little video icon and you see the little up arrow next to it. You have to have your mouse on it so you can see it.
Video. Record? No.
No, it says mute, stop video, or it says mute.
Oh, yeah.
Video. Okay, there's a little up arrow next to it.
Uh-huh.
Click on that because I'm going to have to go into another room in a minute. And it'll say choose virtual background. Click on that and you can play around with the virtual backgrounds.
It didn't work for me. I don't know why.
It didn't allow you? Did anybody else have a problem with it? Oh,
See,
there it is. There it is. Well, it's probably
I'm on a
because of your
Chromebook,
computer.
and it doesn't work on a Chromebook.
Okay, Eric, thank you for sharing. Betty, how about you? Okay. I've got to go into another breakout room. You guys play around with it.
It works on an iPhone either. It works on an iPad and it works on a...
Hi, I see you're asking for help.
Hello, Heidi.
Hi. Is this Barbara or Cheryl who wants help? Barbara? Okay. All right, we're in the break. We're in, you see at the bottom, if you scroll over with your mouse, you'll see where it says, it has a little microphone and then it has a little video icon. Do you see all that? Oh, you know why? You're muted, that's why. Can you unmute yourself, ladies, so I can hear you?
I think the problem is that I had myself unmuted, but Barbara didn't.
Okay, yeah, Barbara's still muted, but that's okay. Let me just show you, have you worked with this, Cheryl? Did you figure it out?
But as far as what, the chat
The
room?
virtual background.
Well, no.
Okay, so let me give you the quick tutorial. Next to the little microphone icon down at the very bottom, you have to probably have your mouse working so you can see it because it doesn't automatically show up. You'll see a video icon. Do you see that? Next to the video icon, you see a little up arrow. Click on that. Did you click on that? And it says choose virtual background. You click on choose virtual background and it shows you some virtual backgrounds you can choose. I'm going to choose mine so when I go back into the room, everybody will see it. It's very cool. Okay, so look, but I don't want to keep it, so I'm going to have to do it quickly. So I don't know if you can see it now, but you see my virtual background? That red? Okay, let me unmute yourself. Unmute yourself so I can hear you. You're both muted. I can't hear a thing.
I can see you with the red background.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to probably have to show her. I'm not going to show everybody how to do that, but it's a very, because if you create a background with images, with words, it comes up backwards. So
Yep.
you have to know, you have to create it backwards, but I'll show you that later. I'm going to go out of the room now because I need to get back in. We're a little bit longer than the breakout rooms, okay? I extended it for a few minutes. Does anybody did you have a question, Cheryl?
No, no.
All right, we're going back into the session.
And I didn't think it was that long. Why we didn't think it was going to go this long. We were going to end the whole thing within an hour. Oh, well.
Okay, I muted. Oh, Sheila, I just want to let you know that we weren't quite done in our room. We were having trouble, so I let the session go a little longer. As the host, that's the other thing you can do is if you see that the time is up and you don't have enough time to do what you had asked your participants to do, a box will come up and it'll say, keep the room open, breakout room open or closed. So I kept it open for another minute.
Okay, and now Heidi's background gives me another tip to do. I don't know if Heidi has, you see it's backwards. One of the meeting controls, one of the settings is to check, I always check, use mirror image. And I have a whole video on how to do mirror image on Facebook. I'll add that to a link that shows that, because very often you see people on Facebook Live and they're backwards. Well, Heidi can change that.
Yes, you can change that. And and I didn't know that when I did it. So what I did was I went into another tool and I just typed everything backwards to create my image and upload it to Zoom. But then I figured it out. I said, oh, I've already done it. So there are a couple of ways to do it. If you're a novice like me, you can find a way, you can figure out a way. I think there's a couple of chat questions. So let me just see. That was fun. None showed up. So if nothing shows up in your virtual background, like Sheila said, it might be that you have to click on it. When the box pops up, you have to actually click on choose virtual background, but it might be that your computer doesn't allow for it. It depends on the type of computer. So Lori, if you're have a computer, if you're in an iPad, does it show up, Sheila, on an iPad or a phone, or is it?
Yeah, again, the whole thing. It happens to be my iPhone. I had to turn around or something. My iPhone, the latest iPhone and the latest operating system came out perfectly. On my iPad, it was a little bit broken up, not as much as my computer. So I don't know whether it was the age of my iPad or I haven't updated to the latest operating system.
Excellent. So Sharon asked a question, and I'm going to answer this now because I know she said she has to leave for another Zoom meeting. She wants to know if there's a way to mute and turn off video for all participants and keep them from turning it back on in the session. And you do that in the settings when you're over in, I think it's zoom.us, correct, Sheila?
Right.
Because if you do it here, I think it still allows them to turn it back on themselves, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So you would have to do it in the settings ahead of time, because otherwise you don't really you have control over muting and allowing them to interfere with what's going on, but I don't think you can change their own personal settings unless you do it from the zoom.us.
Right. Okay. And you may also be able to do it in the settings from your dashboard. Betty asked me a question. I think this is the answer. She wants to know how you could have a co-host connect to the Zoom meeting on a cell phone where they can talk and the others can see them. First of all, again, even a cell phone has, I think it depends, the iPhone in the upper left or something. Play around. When I have answers to these, I always add another of my devices to check it out and have fun with it. And that you have, you do have speaker view, you do have gallery view. I know on the iPad, I think on the phone. And again, this person that's speaking, if you're set up to speaker view, that's who you'll see. So I hope that answers that, Betty. And good to see your name again.
I think you have to, I think, Sheila, you actually have to join Zoom on the app for the speaker to show, their picture to show up, correct? Or is that? This is the problem that she's been having. She wants to do she has a podcast and wants to do them remotely with people because, these fishermen are out to sea, but she wants to do live programs with them, asking them questions. And so you can't be carrying your computer around.
Oh, of course not.
Do that. So she wanted to know how to do it where they could participate. I know they can answer questions, but because what she does is so visual, how can they actually show what they're doing is what she's wanting.
Okay, well, one of the things, keep in mind, if you want to be showing what you're doing, or you need to see what they're doing.
What they're doing, like the fish, the boat captains and the people fishing, if they're doing a live demonstration.
Well, I suggest number one, make sure people remember to turn to face the phone the other way. We're so used to when we start recording, videoing, it shows our image. You can turn the camera so it's seeing out. And I did a funeral for the synagogue. I wasn't there, but the rabbi's son was there as a participant. And he was showing everything that was going on at the service. just by turning the camera around and being a participant. So that might answer it. And again, bottom line, when in doubt, find somebody to play with you.
Exactly. And Alice asked about participants. Can they pick the breakout room they want?
Yeah.
And I don't believe so. I believe it's either random or the host picks it. Am I correct in that, Sheila? I don't think people can.
The thing is, if you're planning it and for some reason you know you're going to have breakout rooms, you could make a request. Or let's say somebody said we have, we have an accountability group. It's a large group, but they're different accountability groups. So you could give those names to, everything's in the planning and could do it.
But not on the fly when you're in the thing. You have two choices. When you're actually once you've set it up, you have to do it the way it's set up. And so we have it set up randomly.
Okay.
All right. And then virtual background, you can control with up arrow next to mute video. Yes. That was a comment. I'm just reading some of the questions so that we can make sure we cover everybody's questions before we move on. So Devana wants to know about using Zoom for webinars. How do you upload PowerPoint presentations? So you want to show her that?
Okay, so I'm going to do the screen share. I don't have the PowerPoint presentation. I just promised some people I'd show the funny little video because somebody also asked how you share a video. It's the same thing with screen share. And you heard some talking. I was trying to get a video together. I have, obviously from my talking, I have all Mac Apple devices. So I wanted to see, and I haven't done PowerPoints or keynotes, but I have prepared one keynote presentation once. I set up my iPad right next to my computer. I totally muted my voice and the sound of my iPad so it wouldn't conflict. And here you can screen share the iPhone or the iPad. And I was able to show Keynote on my iPad and talk about it on my computer. Otherwise, all you have to do on your computer is screen share the PowerPoint. And that's the difference. We never answered the webinar question, but I think I'll go through this list. We'll go through it like in 5 minutes, but we're showing the screen share now.
So basically, you have to show them how to do share screen, and when that pops up, it'll give some options. Correct, Sheila?
Right. Well, share screen is going to, first of all, usually it has. Damn it! I have it set up. Excuse me. Can we edit that out?
You got to click on the green up arrow. You won't be able to do this because we have it set that participants cannot share their screen. The difference is we're in a meeting, so I want to address that now because we didn't talk about that at the beginning. The pros and cons of meetings and webinars. Could I talk about that really?
Yes, please do that.
Okay, so we're in a meeting. A meeting is interactive. That means you're going to see everybody in the meeting and you're going to be able to see people when they ask questions. Whereas in a webinar, you only see the host, the co-host, and then you see the chat. So, and then whatever presentation they're doing. So the benefit of a meeting is, to me, it's much more interactive. I prefer meetings to webinars, and most of the time that's the way I do it, unless I'm doing a tutorial, in which case I'm the only one in the room anyway. Or if I'm with a client and I'm teaching them how to do something. And then we will do a webinar. But I really like the meeting format for what I do. So it really depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a business presentation and you don't want the distraction of all the people and you don't want them to be able to unmute themselves and talk, probably webinars would be the better answer for you. Did I answer that question as sufficiently, Sheila?
I actually was focusing on this, so I didn't have full attention. It depends. It's like language. A lot of it's language. The true webinar, like Heidi did a handout with a business account where your option is mainly to sell a product or service, to train, educate, and then sell. You just want the speaker there or a speaker and a guest. And they're mainly showing their PowerPoint. They never even really see them on speaker view, just on the side. And that's all in the business plan, in the business service. You can also run like the same thing. I could do this whole thing with PowerPoint. You could see or Keynote or something and not involve people. Yes, you would see the people, Afterwards, when I uploaded this webinar from a meeting to wherever, you would not see any of the people. You would only see the screen share and the presentation.
Okay. Really quick, Karen asked all the controls to run Zoom. Do you, as the host, see a double screen? And you can explain what they actually
I
see.
don't know what that is.
Well, I think I understand. So in other words, at the bottom, everybody has this black line and it has certain icons that you can click on. Well, as the host, we have more. We have an icon for polling. We have one for closed caption. We have one called More that shows breakout rooms and live on Facebook, which, by the way, I wanted to mention, if you do want to go live on Facebook, first you set it up on Zoom that you're going to go live, and then you have to click on here so that it connects to your Facebook page. Otherwise, it doesn't automatically go live on Facebook. So I did want to mention that. So we see a few more options. For instance, screen sharing, we'll see advanced sharing options that you won't see. Security, I don't know, does everybody see that security thing, Sheila?
No, that's just.
No, they don't. You don't see security. You don't see, you'll see chat and reactions, but you don't see, you don't see polling and closed caption and more. So.
Okay. All right, I'm going to quickly show you because the video question came up so a couple of times, and this is in doing a presentation. So I now have a note. I tried to be in advance and have the actual screens I wanted to share showing up. When you go to share, it says, again, I'll repeat, it says, gives you the option of desktop, and that's why you saw the thing and everything else. It also gives you the option of specific pages. So I am now going to that Zoom virtual background when I first started playing with it. And I said, remember, have fun. And this is now a video that I'm sharing. So. So have fun. If something goes wrong.
I'm back with a different background. We'll see if it shows up in the video. This is one of the ones they've offered or selected. And I just want to play some more. And if I take that down, interestingly, the
And that was in my
background is now all right on the top, but I'm not. So just having fun. Again, Sheila Finkelstein, technology for seniors made easy.
But I love the way you look like a ghost. So it must have had something to do with the quality of the processor in your video.
Yeah. So I can use virtual background. I said that, but you know what? So I had fun. I made it into a video. I shared it, and underneath the video, always when you put up videos, take advantage of the description under the video. Link to your sites and everything else. That's another story.
Yeah, we'll do a YouTube. Okay, so. But I'm not sure that was the question that Deborah had. How about sharing a recording? Is that Deborah? Everybody who's go ahead, Sheila. I'll let you answer that.
Okay, so in terms of this, well, I don't know what Heidi does. If you're talking about the whole recording of this session,
yes.
Again, remember I told you the cloud. Heidi and I both download to our computer. I can upload directly from your computer to YouTube. You'll get the Amazon download link in your on your desktop. On your desktop, it will show you where it will land up in your computer unless you make a different location. Is under Documents, and then when you open Documents in your computer, you'll see a Zoom folder. And you open Zoom, and all your different meetings are there. You open up the most current meeting, you download the particular recording, you'll have the audio, which is an M4 or something M4, and you will have the video, which is an MP4. Yeah, I think so. I have that in all this.
MP3 and MP4, something like that. A quick tip that I do is so that I don't have to go and search through the Zoom folder and figure out which program I've done, because I've done hundreds of them, is I immediately, once it's downloaded, rename the file, the folder, whatever the program was I did. So for instance, today's will be how to use Zoom for Business or something like that, using Zoom for Business. And that way I'll know that this is the session we had, because otherwise I got to try to remember the dates. So you might want to rename that right after it's downloaded because you won't find it again. It'll be much
Okay.
better.
Here's another thing I discovered when working with Heidi yesterday when we were planning this for 2 hours. Heidi's been using the same meeting ID and she uses her personal ID. Never ever use your personal ID except for your personal meetings. Like you call me and I said, okay, hop on, here's my number, I know what it is. For each meeting, set a separate meeting ID. Now, you may have your couples group. I don't know where that came up. You could do couples meeting and get a meeting ID for that. You can set it up as recurring. And every time the couples meet, they'll use the same numbers. So you're gonna have to keep reminding them. In the Zoom folder, it will tell you, it will also break down those separate meetings. Yes, you still won't know which meeting or whatever. It will do those separate groups. Is that clear?
Yeah, but I'm not sure why the question. Oh, Deborah wanted to know why, and you mentioned it about security because you don't want that to be a public knowledge, that room, because that's how people have been hacking rooms, is they've gotten those personal meeting IDs and they're going in and putting all kinds of things. They had, I know Martin County School District, people were going into the virtual classrooms and posting pornography and stuff, and these like 9-10-year-olds were, you know, unable to study. They were too busy looking at naked people. So
Right. And Devon, does that answer your question?
how do you get an additional meeting ID? Karen wants to know.
Because what you do is when you go to set a meeting, just do set a meeting, and it will ask you, do you want your meeting or them to create a new meeting ID? So you see that in settings. That's probably one of the simplest things.
Yeah. So when you go to schedule a meeting, you can change your meeting ID. I've always used the same one, but I rename it most times. So I'm using the same meeting ID, but I'm renaming it so people can still get in if they know the meeting ID. So I like what you said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you get both an MP3 and an MP4 download. So what I do with mine, my marketing mind, I upload the video to YouTube. I do all the keywords, the description, add my URL as Sheila mentioned, and then I upload the MP3 to my podcast so that I'm repurposing it twice. And actually I do 3 things because most of the time I transcribe it through using a third-party transcription service, and then I will have an actual text of the event if it's not too long, and then I can use that as a blog post or a special report or something depending on what the topic was. So that was just a little extra thing that I do. Sheila, is there anything else we need to cover because we're running out of time?
Yeah, I know. I prepared, if any urgent questions, I wanted to make it sure, as I said, that we covered everything that the homepage, opt-in page. So I typed up everything, and we'll give that as a handout. You can have that. I also, as I said, there's an opt-in for like this and a whole thing that'll be ready by the weekend with different screenshot images. I want to cover just a couple more quick things.
And Sheila, you'll put the link in there for that screen. You wanted to put the link in for people to opt in. I know it's going to be on the confirmation page, and we're going to send a follow-up email with a few other goodies that you don't have yet. So you'll get that link again. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I will do that. Okay. Right. I want to tell you another tip. Some of you, I don't know if you have, any of you here still have free accounts. First of all, to be a participant, you never have to join Zoom. Okay. Then with a free account, you only have 40 minutes. I think most of you know that, and you're cut off. I have a friend who has a writing group. They go for 2 or 3 hours. What they do is they know at the end of 40 minutes, they'll stop. They have a writing assignment. They stop for 20 minutes or so and then come back and share. And they do this for several 40-minute segments. So that is a possibility with a free account if you ever want to go over in small. Also with a free account, you have unlimited time with 2 people. So if you just want to coach one-on-one coaching, you can use the free account forever. The only thing you don't have is a personal meeting ID. You can get the recordings and everything else you have with your basic account, period, one way or another. There are links where you get all this information on site, on participants. Okay, the really big thing I'm going to run down verbally, and it will be in there. The really big thing is security. And I might say something that'll upset you. So is there any last minute stuff you want to say, Heidi?
Well, I'm going to talk about what they're going to get afterwards, but you can finish
Right, okay.
security and then I'll do that.
Okay, so I've said before, and maybe I haven't, never ever post a link to a meeting in a public page. Not on Facebook, not on a website. Make sure you have them, if they're interested in the meeting, that they'll email you or they give you go on a registration page like Heidi did, and you'll get the email addresses and email the stuff. Make sure you have the latest updated version of Zoom. Zoom will let you know when there's been an update because they've been doing a lot of security things. I said don't use your personal ID for public meetings. Zoom meetings are much longer now. You probably noticed they encrypted, et cetera, to make them safer. I said don't allow people to name themselves because that's where you get these, they've had experienced these crazy things. So that's a control, and all of these are on this paper. Basic, don't tell me I lost my 4th page. All right, well, the last thing I wanted to say about that, or the main thing, is I got a notice this morning. This might be it. Okay, disable screen sharing, I mentioned that, except for host, disable annotation, unless you're doing a meeting with the people you know and you need it for what you're doing. We went through co-host, waiting rooms, passwords. If again, for those recurring meetings and the ones I've already set, they don't need a password. And now I suggest, particularly in a meeting where you might not know people, you make sure you have a password. Now, the last security thing I need to mention, I have somebody watchdog who keeps sending me stuff. And yesterday, Newsweek, I think, had an article that 500,000 Zoom accounts were compromised. Their passwords were taken, they can be gotten into. Now, keep in mind, I don't think any of us are in danger. 500,000. Before all this started with COVID, Zoom had 10 million subscribers. Now they have over 200 million. The ones that hackers would be interested in, Zoom's main business had been large corporations. And so that's where they would be going, and the numbers there, I'm sure. But what that is a reminder of is in using passwords, many people tend to use the same password for a lot of things. Never ever, for security here or any place else, use the same password for anything. Make them complicated. The easiest way to manage passwords is to use a password manager. LastPass is the one that's most used by business people I know. And that keeps you, the only thing you have to remember is the LastPass password. If you lose that, hide it in a couple of places, you'll never be able to get in. So my banks are there and everything else is in LastPass. Now, if you use the same password for anything, if you're using the Zoom password for anything, even though I think it'd be the same one, compromised, I'd say go back and change those passwords. I also say go to lastpass.com, get an account there for 12 bucks, I think, for the year or something. It's worth it.
Very
Free
reasonable.
version. Very free version. You can go in and they make these crazy 612, they say recommend 12 or 14 or more character passwords. So you do that, whatever else is important, and they'll create it for you. You'll copy it and then use it. In notes, I will often, that's it.
Yeah, so it's important. It just, the bottom line is to not use the same password for every single site you're on, like some of my clients do. Thank you all who are leaving. We appreciate it. I have one quick question and then I'm going to end because I know that we promised we'd be out of here by 5:30. Carol wanted to know if we can ask for payments somewhere in the settings. And I believe you can integrate PayPal with this. I know there's a way to do it. I haven't done it. So do you know, Sheila?
That may be the business account to
Yes.
do a thing, but you can always add a link to something.
Well, she wants to know if people can pay when they come into the room before they actually enter the room. So that's the question that we're going to find out for you, Carol, and we'll answer that question. I know that I read something yesterday. It wasn't something we planned to cover and probably should have, because this is supposed to be a very basic class, but it's turning into a more advanced. So we will find out that answer. I will personally find that answer for you, Carol, and then share it with the group. How's that? I want to thank everybody. If you have any last minute questions, please put them in the chat so we can either address them now or we can address them offline and make sure that everybody has the same information. Whiteboard. Maybe quickly you could show a whiteboard, Sheila?
Can you do that?
Yeah, you go into just
Screen share. And it
Yeah.
can do the
Okay, so if I go into screen share, which you do not see, a box pops up and it gives you different files you can show. So you can show content from your camera, you can show your background, your desktop, or you can show an individual file, and it gives you the option. Now where did it go? Oh gosh. Oh yeah, basic. The whiteboard. So the whiteboard is listed under the basic choices under share screen. So if you're in there as a host, you will see that on the bottom. You do not see, oh, you do see it. Okay, so next to chat, you see screen share. So if you click on the green arrow, a box will pop up and you can see whiteboard. So I'm gonna just show you, there's the whiteboard. But I'm not proficient in it. So I'm writing with my little pencil. And here we go. So do you all see that? But you can actually use text, so you can create boxes and you can say hi. So a box pops up. Do you all see this? I just want to make sure that people see it. Nod if you see it, because I don't know. I can't hear anybody. Okay, so hi everyone. You can draw, which is what I originally did. You can use a stamp like a heart. So I want to put a heart somewhere. I can put hearts all over it. You can spotlight something. So say I want to spotlight something. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I apologize. You can erase. You can format it with a different color. So the background, if you wanted to write in a different color. Oh, gee whiz. Line width. Okay. Font. I have to play with this. Honestly, I've not done this. Sheila, have you done the whiteboard?
No, not at all. That's why I said you do it.
Okay, so I haven't either. So, but basically you just go into share screen to find the whiteboard. And I recommend when you have time, just play around with it. Okay? And I wish we had more time to go through some of these advanced things, and possibly we can do that. Yeah, so Eric said that PayPal does integrate with webinars. So Bet, how did that happen?
Kim Brand did it because you didn't stop her.
Cancel.
Donna put that up. Because you didn't disable screen share.
Yeah, because I enabled it to see if we could allow people. So you want to play with it on your own, not here, but definitely. There was one other thing. So PayPal integrates with webinars products. So yes, I know they do. I just don't know how to do it, Eric. So thank you for sharing that. We'll figure it out and tell you.
Eric Eric grew up next door. He's to me in Old Bridge 37 years ago, and he's a Zoom and a web expert too.
Excellent. So just so you know that, really quick, I just want to mention that Women in E-commerce offers a lot of free training for members, and this one we opened up to everybody. We do our next 2 programs are going to be how to efficiently do research for your next project, and using Canva to create images your clients and prospects will love. So those are the next 2 events coming up. So be on the lookout. You will get an invitation. Members get the download and the videos, etc. But we're giving everything to you for this event because this is an open event. So just so you know, and if you decide to join Women in E-commerce, the Platinum membership is $47 a year, and you get all kinds of stuff like free plugins, swipe files, all kinds of stuff, which I'm sure Sheila hasn't been into the member area in a long time. But if you do go in there, you'll see like hundreds of swipe files and templates and things. So I just wanted to say thank you all for being with us, and to mention that Sheila also has a couple of great specials. She's got an opt-in. It's the tips, the webinar worksheet that you received. She expanded that with screen captures and more explanation. So that will be one of your opt-ins. And the other one was a 30-minute discovery session with Sheila. And I will send you the link to that as well, so that you can take advantage of that. Of course, you can learn more about Sheila at treasureyourlifenow.com, technologyforseniors-made-easy.com, etc. Sheila, is there any last words you'd like to
I
share?
want to thank you for honoring me, inviting me as your guest, Heidi. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I know we're at beyond. And the reason I haven't seen the thing is somehow my mailing email address wasn't being acknowledged, so I will be back.
We'll fix that.
And thank you all for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you again. I put in the link for the opt-in. I think we're just going to send, because we went over, so Heidi will send this out to you in the follow-up email, and you'll get it. And the opt-in will include this again, plus this will be expanded with screenshots and really cover everything. I did a guide in one before, and that you'll have out by, get on the list and you'll have
Probably
it.
the end of the week.
Yeah.
We'll make
No,
sure just
again.
we'll share the link, and then you just have to monitor it. And I'll probably send another email at the end of the week, but you should be getting a thank you from us either tonight or tomorrow with all the links. Okay. Thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy days. Bye-bye, especially you, Sheila. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. From me also, my heart to yours.